Rick Baker. Oh, you know him. Rick Baker, master Hollywood makeup artist, winner of 6 Academy Awards, An American Werewolf in London, Harry and the Hendersons, Ed Wood, The Nutty Professor, Men in Black, The Grinch Who Stole Christmas. Yes, we have Rick Baker to thank for realistic makeup effects that make these some of our best-loved movies. Born in New York, the son of an artist, Rick Baker began creating artificial body parts as a teen in his kitchen. His latest assignment, to transform Benicio del Toro from hunk to Wolfman. Rick Baker, please rise to accept the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters.
By virtue of the authority granted by the Charter to the Academy of Art University from the state of California, and by the powers vested in me by the governing board, I hereby confer upon Richard A. Baker the degree of Doctorate of Humane Letters with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereunto, and thank you for your contribution to the arts.
Wow. I'm so honored and proud and shocked by all this. I've never in my wildest dreams did I ever really imagine anything like this happening. And I've actually had some pretty wild dreams and had a pretty good imagination. And in fact, when I was a little kid, my dream was to get into the film business and to be the guy that made monsters for the movies. And I even imagined myself winning an Oscar someday, and those are pretty outrageous dreams for a kid whose mother worked in a bank all her life as a teller, and my father, even though he mentioned he was an artist, he was actually a very artistic guy, but most of his life he worked in Sears and was a truck driver and never could really make a living at art. And it amazes me, though. I mean, there's been some talk here about parents and support and stuff, and I mean, I really lucked out in the parent department, and my parents were very supportive and loving and very positive people, and they told me when I was a kid that I could do anything that I set my mind to. I could achieve anything that I really wanted to if I just worked hard at it, and I believed them. They were my parents. They're not going to lie to me. So at 10 years old, I set this goal for myself. I said, I'm going to be the guy who makes monsters for the movies. And I want to thank whoever it was that set it up to have the silly monster maker guy come after the serious photojournalist. I mean, it's like kind of like switched it around a little bit. But anyways, but before I wanted to be a monster maker, I was kind of obsessed with being a doctor, and it made my parents really proud. There weren't a lot of professional people in my family. Nobody really went to college. I think the only professional was my great-grandfather was a professional gambler, but I don't think that really counts. But I'll never forget the day I had to tell my mom about my change of careers. It was like, Mom? Yes, Ricky. She called me Ricky unless I was in trouble, and they would call me Richard Allen Baker, like it says on the program here. You know how I always talk about wanting to be a doctor when I grow up? It's like, yes, you make your parents very proud. And then, I kind of changed my mind a little bit. Oh, yeah, when I grow up, I want to be a monster maker. And it's like, a what? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. A monster maker, Mom. It's like, well, I don't think that's really an occupation, son. And I go, yeah, it is. I mean, I want to be like Jack Pierce, the guy who made all the cool monsters for the Universal movies. And my mom says, well, if that's what you want to be, I'm sure that someday you'll make a very fine monster maker. You know, I mean, how cool is that? I mean, how lucky was I to have parents like that? You know, and not everybody was as supportive of my career choice. You know, I mean, I can't tell you. I'm sure some of you people that here have had these similar things happen, where a lot of people said, when is that son of yours going to grow up and stop playing around with those monsters and do something that he can really make a living at? When he's going to get a real job? And I'll never forget, when I was 15 years old, I went to the makeup union and had this cardboard box full of all these fantastic things that I made, and I thought for sure when they saw these creations that I made that they would give me a job the next day. That's how stupid I was. This was a real reality check day. And the business rep of the union says to me, he goes, "Kid, you got to be born into this business." "You got any family in this business?" "No, sir." "Got any friends in this business?" "No." "Then you ain't getting in. That's clear and simple. There's no way you're going to get in this business. Give up." And then he said, and this is a quote, because these words were burned into my brain. He said, "Those things that you want to make, those monsters, those jobs are few and far between, and most of the time you're going to be mopping sweat off of some bitchy actress." Needless to say, I was a little disappointed by this, but being the stubborn kid that I was, I just, my parents said I could do what I wanted to do, so I said, what, I'm going to show this guy I'm going to do it. And so what I'd like to say to you here all today is, don't be afraid to dream. Don't be afraid to have these outrageous dreams and set really high goals for yourself. And don't let the negative people stop you from dreaming. And if you're really passionate and are willing to work really hard, you can really make those dreams come true. And I'm speaking from experience here. So go out there and kick some creative butt. Thank you very much.
I'd like to take a moment to thank David Pfeil, known to many of you as Director Emeritus of the Film School, for producing all of the visuals you've enjoyed on screen here today.